Hello everyone, welcome back. Are you one of those people who cannot extend their legs straight? There's always a bend at your knee. Well, today's video is going to address that. There are a few reasons why that may be happening. One of the more common issues is because you have tight hamstrings, and therefore, your hamstring is back here. And therefore, it's tight, you can't extend the leg straight. So today, I would like you to have some sort of strap. And it could be a cloth strap, it could be even like a leather belt. Something that doesn't have elasticity, something that's pretty taut. And we are going to use this strap as extensions of our arms to help you with your legs. Does that make sense? So with today's movements, I'm hoping that you are going to find some release in your hips, as well as possibly aiding in extending your leg a little bit straighter. Many people cannot extend their leg 100% straight, and they always think, oh, I'm doing it wrong. I can't do yoga because I can't extend my leg straight. It's more along the lines of you can't extend it straight yet. And once again, I'm reinforcing that idea that I talk about a lot, is you need to be consistent. Get into those poses, get into a little bit of a practice, even a short one, some sort of movement every day, even if it's 10 minutes. If you can manage to go longer, by all means go longer, but your body responds to something that's consistent. You constantly do it. That way you're trying to teach it new tricks, yes? So we wonder why after a month of inactivity, we feel stiff and we can't go as far as we usually can. Well, it's because your body has had a month to go back to old habits. So doing something consistently is going to help you. So today's practice, today's video is going to need a strap. And then, get comfortable. We are going to start on our backs. So if you do have a hard time being on your back for a little bit longer, find whatever prop that you're going to need for your head. Don't prop up your legs because we're actually using our legs. So it's going to be a little bit ineffective if you have a bolster or something underneath your knees, because we're working on our hips and our legs. So if you have an issue with your head or anything like that, and you need maybe even something as small as a blanket. And then if you need that underneath your head to kind of help support you, by all means. Try not to have something too much underneath your head, like a block. If you put a block underneath your head, then you're jamming your chin into your chest, and then definitely this neck muscle back here is not in neutral. You still want to have it relatively neutral so that your spine is more comfortable. So this feels pretty comfy actually for me. I'm going to leave the blanket there. So I'm going to have my strap, and I'm just going to kind of have it really, really handy, because I still want to take a minute or two to kind of wiggle, jiggle around and find a shape that we can just take a few minutes, a few breaths, just to kind of relax. And lying in Shavasana is going to give your hips an opportunities to kind of go off tension. Many times when you're walking, sitting, doing things, there's tension on the legs and hips and glutes. And this is the easiest thing that you can do to kind of just release them a little bit. And I always say this, it's not going to guarantee you 100% relaxation, but it's a good start. I basically want to let go of the gripping in my legs, let go of the gripping in my glutes and my bum muscles. I'm trying to allow those hips to kind of slightly externally rotate. My feet are kind of pointing outward. So this just allows the hips to relax. So I'm just going to take 1 or 2 more breaths here and just see if you can relax that low back, glutes, hips, legs, feet. And don't worry, once we start making these different shapes, if you don't look exactly like me, the chances are going to be very slim that you are going to look exactly like me. Not that I'm better or anything like that, I'm just different. My flexibility might be different. My points of tension might be different. So these are guidelines for you to kind of help open up your own body. So I am going to bend at the knees and just kind of make sure that the sacrum is nice and comfortable. And when I talked about extending your legs straight, we're going to start right away. And what I refer to is, I have a bend in my knee here. Are you able to extend that leg straight? Or are you constantly kind of looking like this? If you have a bend in your knee constantly here, that pretty much can, I'm not going to guarantee it, but it's probably a little bit of an issue with your hamstrings. So to help you do that, we're going to use our strap. So I'm going to take my object, whatever thing you have, I'm going to bring my left knee into the chest, and I'm going to use my strap, and I'm going to kind of put it on the ball of the toe. I'm not going to put it right in the middle of my arch. If I put it right in the middle of my arch, if I have any issues there, that might aggravate things. So I'm going to put it right about there. And I don't put it right on the edge of my toes because obviously there's a pretty good chance that it might slip off, and it's not a big deal, but then I gotta start again, and then I might kind of get out of the little rhythm, and I might get out of the kind of the sync of things. So when I'm here on my back, and more than likely I'm going to be using my arms extended, what I would like you to avoid is this type of idea. You're grabbing onto the strapping, you're pulling and you're scrunching up into the neck. None of these things are going to help you. In fact, they're going to make you feel pretty crappy. So allow your entire back to be on the floor. Try to have these shoulders relaxed too. Yes, your arm is going to be reaching, but try not to scrunch up the shoulders up into your ears. See if you can have them relaxed. When you actually reach for your strap, you want a gentle extension. Many of you might be closer to your toes, maybe you're further away from your toes. I have pretty long arms and pretty long legs. Right now, I can't quite touch my toes, so I am going to use this strap to help get from a bent knee, and I'm going to gently try to get it to an extension. And for some of you, this might be already the maximum thing that you're going to do today. If you find that you are generally in this bent knee position, just using your strap to try to extend and bend, that might be the only thing that you do. And what you're gently going to try to do is just going to, basically you're pushing your foot into the strap and pulling the strap into your foot as you gently try to extend. Now, for some of you, you might be thinking, well, that's pretty silly because it's so easy. I can easily do that. And obviously, this is something that you won't need to do. It's for those people who cannot extend those legs straight. This little exercise here of using the strap and just bending and extending, that might help you open up a little bit of the hamstring. So moving on. From here, let's say I could extend my leg straight, but I'm looking for a little bit more. So if you notice, my opposite foot is on the floor with the knee bent. And I can generally coax out a little bit more sensation by taking that opposite leg straight. And then I can gently draw the foot towards my head. It's basically aiming kind of over my head. And I'm using this strap with soft shoulders to help guide it. And you should feel some sensations at the end, at the back of your legs. And I'm just moving a few inches front and back, trying to gather a little bit more length in the hamstring. So many times this is referred to as flossing. So I'm just moving in that hip joint, front and back. And then I'm going to hold at where is going to be my end position. This is where I comfortably can be. I can still breathe. My shoulders are nice and soft. My foot is flexed without a huge amount of effort. And I'm just trying to get a little bit of sensation here. Yes, at the back of the leg. So you could be here for 3 to 5 breaths, just seeing if you can kind of relax into the muscle. You don't want to be all tense here because a tense muscle has a hard time releasing. So if my leg is relaxed, there's not a lot of tension on it, I could probably gain a little bit more. I'm bringing my foot even closer towards my face. And again, you have a chance, not a chance, there's a pretty good chance that you're gripping into the strap and you're pulling. Avoid that. Be gentle. I'm getting a nice extension in the arm, but I'm not jarring my shoulders. I'm not jarring my hip. I'm not jarring my knee. And then I'm going to soften at the knee. I'm going to release the strap and bring my feet to the floor and just again, another little wiggle jiggle just to kind of release any tension. So if you are one of those people who cannot extend the leg straight, that little movement there, that's probably going to help you a lot. That's going to give you a little bit of opportunity to strengthen and lengthen that muscle. So obviously you're going to do it on both sides, right? Even if you think that one leg is tight and one leg is loose and it doesn't need it, you're still going to do both sides. You're going to notice a difference between a tighter side and a looser side, but try to do both. So I'm going to give you a little bit more information on what you can do for your hip. And I'm going to switch legs to do that so that I'm not constantly working in one leg. So again, I've, for example, already done this leg. I've done my flexion front and back. Maybe I've only working on the extension at the knee, whatever you happen to need. Now, if we want to get into that hip socket a little bit more and try to gain some openness and flexibility in the hip, we are going to start moving our leg in a different direction. Instead of going front and back, the length of our mat, we're going to go perpendicular. We're going to go left and right. And I'm going to go the easy one first. And then you'll see how little you need to move to gain possibly some openness in the hips. So I'm on my right leg, and I am going to take my strap, and I'm going to use both straps in my left hand. And I'll show you in a second or two why I'm using one hand. And I have the opposite leg extended, my toes are flexed, and I'm going to try to keep both of my glute muscles, basically both of your bum cheeks on the floor. Take an inhale, and with an exhale, gently guide your leg to the left. Keep both of your glutes on the floor. And in case you can't tell how far I went over, the foot that's up in the air is just about in line with the shoulder. I'm talking maybe 6, 8 inches over to the left. And with my right hand over here, you may not be able to see, I'll show you on the other side, but I can use my right hand here in my hip, just to kind of remind it to stay down, because what I don't want to happen is this. I'm pulling so much on my leg that my glute comes up and everything comes up. So I can use my right hand just to kind of remind that glute, okay, hip, you're going to stay down. And with my right leg going over the center line to the left, you should feel a nice sensation on the outside of your leg. And I'm going to get a nice little sensation maybe in the glutes and the hip socket. Avoid having your leg way away from your head, from your body. Because here, I could probably get quite a bit of movement. So I really would like to have that leg up, think 90-ish degree, and then I'm going over it. So with my strap, not only am I gently guiding it over to the left, I'm gently guiding it towards my head as well. And once again, you're taking a few breaths here. Try not to grip in the shoulders, in the neck, in the glutes. Try to have those legs relatively relaxed. And then I'm going to come back up towards the center. I'm going to release the strap, release the leg tension, and give it a little wiggle jiggle. And again, I would do that on both sides. And just notice the different sensations that you get from left to right side. So just in case you didn't see the hand holding down the hip, I'm just going to take a quick second here to show you on the other side. So for example, if I'm taking the left leg over towards the right, I can use my hand here to just kind of remind this hip to stay down. I don't want it to go up and over because then I'm just balancing on my hip and I'm not really getting any of the good sensations. So I can just remind my hip, okay, stay down, glutes stay down, while I get this crossover. And I'm trying to get a little sensation on the outside of the leg, the glute, and the hip. And I can gently kind of remind that hip, stay down, stay relaxed, stay here. Yes? So after you've taken both sides and you've taken a little breather here, you can work on extending a little bit more at the hips by using an external rotation. I'm going to stay on this leg. And again, any time in between, you can kind of take a 2-second breather, bend at the knees, bring the knees in, take a little breather. I'm just kind of going over a few different things that you can do to help your legs. So once again, I'm starting off with a straight leg. Both of them are straight. Now I'm using my left leg. Both straps are in my left hand. Once again, keeping both glutes on the floor. With my exhale, I'm going to open up the left leg out to the left side. And what happens for most people is you kind of rock over and then you say, look, I can get my foot really close to the floor. But look, I've lifted this glute way off the floor. And all I've done really is turn my body to the left. So I really didn't open up anything here in the hip. So chest stays towards the ceiling. Both glutes stay on the floor. And I'm gently just trying to open up the hip. And it matters not if your foot just goes a few inches, or if it goes a little bit more, or if that pinky toe hits the floor. Generally, that pretty much means you have pretty open hips. And I'm helping with my hand on the strap to guide it gently down and back. So my foot is aiming towards the floor, but it's also aiming up over my head. I'm using my other arm as a little bit of counterbalance. I'm trying to keep both hips, both glutes on the floor. I have a tendency to rock over a little bit myself. However, do the best you can. So this external rotation of the hip hopefully is going to create a little bit of space. And it's one of those things that it might kind of be uncomfortable, it might be awkward. It's one of those, I don't really love it, but I know that it's going to do a lot of help. It's going to help my hips open up. And again, trying to release the tension in the hip. Don't be all grippy and tensioned and you're never going to open up your hips then. So gently try to open them up. And then one day you're going to notice that that leg gets closer and closer to the floor. Your chest is still facing the ceiling and you're able to open up your hip. So I'm going to take a little breather and I'll show you on the other side just in case for any reason on the video you can't exactly see what's going on. But this little idea of the strap to help you open up the hips, lots of people like it. They don't love doing it, but they like what it does for their hips. So again, you would be using your exhale to open up. And you might even have to kind of stop a little bit, take a breath, take an inhale, and then use your exhale again to open up. So the idea is to avoid lifting the glutes and everything here up off the floor just to try to get this foot closer to the floor. Because really here, all you're doing is kind of laying on your side. I'm not really working the hip. All I've done is lifted my bum off the floor. So it might feel like you're opening up the hip because you're like, oh, look, my pinky toe is on the floor, but really you're not doing anything. So here I am. I might need or want to use my hand as a little counterbalance. I can use my hand here on the hip to remind it, stay down. I have a tendency to kind of help or lift it a little bit because I think that I'm doing better, but I'm not. So I'm just working the hip. You're going to get a little bit maybe of movement, but really avoid coming up onto one side. So again, gently using the strap to guide my leg out and back. Trying to release the tension in the leg, release the gripping, think soft foot, soft knee, and that might help you open up your hip a little bit more. Sometimes when we're trying to open up our hips, we might even find that we're holding tension in the neck. See if you can release that as you're trying to open up the hips. And when you think you've had enough, you bring the leg back up to the ceiling. You take that little movement in the hips, in the spine. And you might even play around here with a little bit of butterfly knees, just to see, did I create any space in the hips? Maybe right away you notice, oh yeah, I feel a little bit of difference. Maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you just want to test, okay, can I extend my legs straight without using the strap? Maybe you were constantly having a bend in the knee and you did all of those exercises and now all of a sudden you could extend your legs straight. Well, in my opinion, that's a win. Getting this leg straight and trying to gently draw it in towards your face, that is a win. If I can get away from constantly having a bent knee, this is generally how far I can go. And then all of a sudden I'm able to get a nice straight leg and my opposite leg is long. And I can gently draw it in without causing huge pain. That is great. That's a win. So I'm just going to take another second or two here just to kind of take a breath. Because those movements, they don't seem complicated, but they can kind of bring up a whole slew of things because our hips are a space that many of us hold tension. And when we try to release that, sometimes it just kind of, opens up a bunch of other things in your body. So constantly trying to use different poses, different movements to open up space in our bodies. So after I've taken a moment or two, by all means, after working your hips and your legs, you might want to stay a little bit longer in your Shavasana, taking a breath or two there. Certainly isn't going to harm you, and it might make you feel a little bit better. So those are some exercises, if you will, some poses that you can use to try to open up the leg, open up the hamstring, open up the hips, so that in turn, some of the other poses, let's say the crescent lunge, the warriors, anything that you're going to use your legs in, which is many of the poses. If your legs are feeling good, nice and open and strong, all of those other poses are going to be just that little bit more easier, right? And that's what we want. We want our practice to be comfortable. We want our practice not to be so hard that we don't look forward to it. We want our practice to be something that we enjoy doing. We try to do it almost every day or as often as we possibly can, so that the movement that we're doing in our bodies is something that the muscle and the brain remembers, and it's going to help you. Trust me, it's going to help you. Movement is good. We want a body that's able to move. Whatever your activity is, we want to do more of that. We don't want to have a body that is so stiff and so jammed up that all we're doing is just sitting in this little bit of a ball, and we're not going to be happy, right? We want to open up. We want to get out and do stuff. Even if you don't want to go out, maybe you want to be in the house. Do things around the house. So I want a body that's going to be able to transport me from A to B to C. And that's what I want to help you do as well. So keep coming back to the videos. We'll keep exploring some more movement, and hopefully you will feel better by doing them. So that is it for now, and we'll see you soon. Please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and help the channel grow by sharing the link with your friends.